Coming up, Tamara is still not home. Join us as we dissect the final chapter of The Strangers. Stay tuned.
Please.
Kill her.
Welcome to the Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. I am your host, Arturo Padilla, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Before we get started, do not forget to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and hit that bell. That way you know when these videos are dropping. Tex, how you doing today, buddy?
Oh, man. Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Arturo. I wish this were under better circumstances, buddy. Man.
No!
So The Strangers first began in 2024, I want to say, with chapter 1, right?
Yep.
And then something happened in between chapter 1 and chapter 2 that we didn't get chapter 2 until last fall. And then now, finally, we're getting chapper 3 like 4 or 5 months later. This was an interesting trilogy. I think even just I guess I'm trying to like ease into this, because before even getting into the review, just like putting our trilogy as a whole, you can we've got a session breaking down chapter 2. Please go check out that in our archives, whether it's on YouTube or through the podcast feeds. We have it. But Strangers chapter 2 left us on an interesting cliffhanger where Madeline Pesh's Maya killed one of them, and after that, it's so funny that was the end of that story right there. But you probably don't remember that, because the last scene of that part 2 was a flashback into the Strangers' origin, and we started to see that more in chapter 2. Well, chapter 1 was more of a remake of the Liv Tyler original. Chapter 2 was like its own story, and with chapter 2, Arturo and I think you can chime in on this too, Arturo, where we were both like, yeah, that was a big improvement over the first one, right?
Yes, 100%. It was definitely a big improvement because, as Tex mentioned, chapter 1 is a close adaptation of the original Strangers with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman. And they added their own flair for chapter 1. It is a bit more exciting in terms of action and what the couple does to fight back. You get a lot more back and forth there, but it still is technically the Strangers. With chapter 2, as Tex was mentioning, they wanted not to take their own liberties in this universe and start molding their own story. But what we got there was kind of a jumble of different ideas that really wasn't executed to the best of the ability of the filmmakers, because you had a lot of flashbacks focusing on the Strangers, the actual killers here. But those flashbacks were very messy, poorly acted by the children in those scenes, and really didn't add anything to the overall picture, pretty much. And then what happens in chapter 3 is we get some more of that. Like, we get more of that, and it's a bit more frustrating because they take longer in these flashbacks, and they want to give you a lot more exposition and development of these characters. But at the end of the day, you don't need that. Like, the story, Maya's story did not need that at all, because, folks, remember, this is Maya's story, right? Like, this is the whole point, right?
You would think, right? And
why you're alive if you're not going to follow her through the entire chapter 1, 2, and 3? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. This is her story.
Yeah, you would think. And that's the thing. Like, we said this around when the first one came out, where it's like, this is making a huge bet that people care about the Strangers, right? And the whole thing about what made them so appealing in the first place is that they were just random people attacking a couple, right? And so with this new trilogy posits that, who are the people behind the mask? And and that's the thing, no one cares.
No one cares.
And we didn't care following the end of the first one, and at the end of part 2, we didn't really care with part 2 either, right? When we started to see more of that personality, we started to see all of that with these killers, with Burlap Sack Face and Doll Face and whatever the other face is. And Pinup, is that the name? Okay.
Yeah, Pinup Girl. Pinup Girl, Doll Face, and Burlap Sack Guy, or whatever his name is.
Do they matter? No. Like, this is all just like, is a horror fan gonna straight up be like, oh, there's Pinup, there's Dollface, there's Burlap Sack Man. No, like no one like these. That's the thing. This is the bet. This was the huge bet. This trilogy was like, oh, we're gonna turn them into horror icons. Where like, no, that's the thing. You not only forget the central appeal of them is that they're just people who attack. They're home invaders. That's the whole thing. That's home invasion genre. That's the whole idea of it. Is that just random people attack you in your home, right? And this one, chapter 3, like Arturo said, takes this even further. Like getting into this, like it continues right after the end of part 2, and you're reminded that Maya killed one of them at the beginning with the ambulance wreck, which is great. But then that's not the beginning of the movie either. The beginning of the movie, like when you just talking about part 2 again, chapter 2 is so much like. It was such a breath of fresh air over the first one because it's so much speedier than that first one. The second one, like the entire first act was like Maya trying to survive the hospital after she was like after everything that happened in that first one. Chapter 3, we get another flashback into like another random killing by the strangers that honestly it's not even like it not only doesn't give us more of their character, it's just another instance of them killing. Like it's not even like a good instance of them killing. It's just someone like they're just stabbing a random woman again.
Yeah, like pretty much it's just to establish the fact that this has been going on for a while in different portions, in different stages of their lives, I should say. And as Tex mentioned, the movie begins again with a freaking flashback. We go 3 years back now, this time to some random person that at first, my brain confused it with Madeleine Pesch's character because there was kind of a resemblance there for a second. So I was like, wait a minute, no. So I would have casted that differently altogether, but that's just a gripe. But then it starts with this character, and like Tex mentioned, there's nothing special about the kill here. It's just the fact that they use a motel as
it was just
to get their victims or something. But again, it doesn't
just
matter in this story.
It was
that motel dude doesn't matter at all to Maya's story whatsoever.
It's just a flashback to another kill. It doesn't like flesh out the killers even further. Like it doesn't do anything like that. It's just an opening kill that it's not even good. Like it's not even a good kill to get you into it, right? And so when we finally get back to Maya's story, this is where it kicks in again because she's trying to survive. She comes across the sheriff who's crooked, and the sheriff who we saw even more of in part 2, and it was like, okay, he's clearly in on it. And in chapter 3, we see more of that expanded upon. And this is where like it immediately starts falling apart. That's what Arturo say. It's like, funny enough, everything involving the strangers and everything tried to characterize them and to make them into something is awful. Like it's just it really is awful.
It really is tough, man. It is tough to watch because going into chapter 3, to be honest with you buddies out there, I was expecting some quality, like a lot more, because I literally rewatched chapter 1 and 2 on the same day. I was like, all right, let me rewatch these to see how everything pieces together after you just watch them back to back to back, the way they were supposed to be actually shot and shown in theaters initially. But man, the quality from chapter 2 to chapter 3, it's drastic in terms of execution and narrative and pacing. And I was shocked how, like, just off the bat, giving us that flashback, I'm like, what are we doing here? There were literal times throughout this movie that I was talking to myself out loud, like, oh my God, why are we doing this? What's going on here? Why are we even here? And I didn't do that with the first 2 chapters. Even rewatching chapter 1, I have a little bit more respect for it because it tried to do some more action, some more fun things for the audience to kind of stay engaged. And same for chapter 2. Like Tex said, the whole first act is her in the hospital, fast paced because the killers found out she's still alive. But in chapter 3, man, the pacing is off because
Yeah.
the narrative isn't focused. And starting with, like, it's not even starting with the flashback. We get a flashback and then present day and then back to a flashback even further out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it jumps like that throughout the movie, and it's super problematic because you want to follow Maya's story. That is the story that we are here for. Maya's story and where she is going. How is she going to get out of this alive? But then the movie tries to throw you, it's like, oh, don't worry about Maya. How about Burlap Sack Boy, which his name is Gregory, right? And then Pinup Girl, her name is Shelly. And I only know this because I'm looking at IMDb page right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the only reason I know this, because it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter so much so that one of the killers, the Pinup Girl, she's offed by Maya in chapter 2, and they tried to replace her with Maya in chapter 3 in this very kind of interesting kind of cool killer commentary thing that they had going there. But again, it was overshadowed by these dumb flashbacks that completely squashed any kind of momentum.
Yeah. So speaking to that, like, that's the problem with The Strangers chapter 3, right? Like, it's getting really into like its philosophical film student era, right? Like, it's really getting into the whole like,
we're both the Randy from Scream of it all, right?
Yes, it's like we're all killers. You know, you're a killer. You've killed. Now you're free, and I'm in the darkness. And you they straight up say like there's a lot of darkness comes to light kind of stuff.
My only light in the darkness, and
yeah, like there's a lot of that when we get to the climax of this movie, and it's so like eye rolling, like it really is, and it's because like. This, once again, it's making the bet that people care about these characters. They care about the strangers themselves. And after 3 movies, we don't. We don't care about them. We don't care about Burlap Sack Guy. No. But I will say, in its movie, like in this movie's credit, in like giving it credit where it does deserve it, on paper, not necessarily a bad idea. Right? Not necessarily a bad concept. On paper, it sounds interesting. And this is the thing where it's like you keep in the back of your mind that this all was executed terribly. The idea sounded good. And the idea seems good. Like looking at what this movie tried to do was there was a good kernel of the idea there, because, you know, like Arturo said, it was after she kills Dollface, the whole Burlap Sack Guy, instead of just trying to get his revenge outright by killing Maya, he instead tries to recruit her and force her to become a killer just like him. And he essentially tortures her for like the rest of the duration of the movie. Like it's a lot of mental and physical torture in terms of like what he puts her through. And I can't lie, that stuff is interesting. Like this is an interesting kind of killer. They're giving this killer a unique personality in that he wants to sort of keep his dead girlfriend alive through Maya, and it's interesting. And you know, because of that, it's supposed to be like, and you know, it on the other hand, that's why the flashbacks are there, right? Where it's like it's supposed to support this change we're seeing in him, the fact that he wants to bring back his dead girlfriend in such a way. Then the flashbacks themselves don't really, it's weird because they're like showing us these kills that the 2 kids, like, so the 2 kids in part 2, we see their first kill, and you see the origins of is Tamara here and all that stuff, right? You see the origins of the happy face and all that, yada yada yada, etc. So chapter 3, it's trying to flesh them out by giving us more instances of this. It's trying to be like, okay, here's their origin. They kept killing throughout.
They were this killer couple.
throughout their entire time. And then the sheriff, like, spoilers, the sheriff was revealed to be Burlap Sack's father. And this is like part of the movie, you know, like after that very first kill, the sheriff was able to like get his son away with it, because they were like, well, he's the sheriff's son, so they're not going to prosecute the sheriff's son, etc., etc., etc. small town, yada yada yada. He's been covering up all their kills, and because of that, they've become more brazen. And the idea was that they killed out of towners rather than people in town, and this is how they've been sustaining themselves throughout all these years until naturally Maya survives and throws that all out the window, right? And so on paper, interesting idea, right? it's a small town where something's happening and everyone's clearly in on it, right? Like,
yeah,
classic horror trope idea. But once again, it just doesn't work because it's so paced poorly. Because you're like, when you watch chapter 2 and you compare this to chapter 3, and you see how well the Maya story flows in chapter 2, and in this one it's like there's so many stops and starts, right? You get something from Maya, then there's a flashback. You get something from Maya, then then we have to see the sheriff's part of the story, and then then we get back to Maya, then we have to see her sister coming, like, looking for her.
So my god, dude, like, listen, it's a mess. It's a hot mess, and I'm glad you brought up the sister and the sheriff and all that stuff, because we can talk about this cast a little bit. Man, again, this is Madeline Pesch's movie. Maya is the narrative here. Gabriel Basso, who plays Gregory, the burlap sack guy, actually has some standout scenes with her in chapter 2 as well as in chapter 3. Specifically, there's a church scene in chapter 3 that really stands out when they finally meet face to face. And it's funny how they kind of reveal, or non-reveal, I should say, how he is, that guy from chapter 2 was the actual killer, because she had an inkling, like her gut feeling was like, yo, this guy is
right.
He feels dangerous, but we never got real confirmation of that, or explicit confirmation of that, until this conversation that they had in the church. But Tex was saying how the burlap sack guy, he's the son of the sheriff, and the whole town knows it. This sheriff, dude, Richard Brake, the actor who plays the sheriff here in this movie, I am not a fan at all of this gentleman. I have seen him too many times to even care to count, man. But Rob Zombie loves this actor. He used him for 31, and he used him for 3 from Hell to replace Sid Haig, because remember, Sid Haig passed away.
That's right.
Yes. So Richard Brake was the actor they got to pretty much fill in the shoes there and fill in that time. And let me tell you, this guy is the worst. Like, his face is super heel. Like, I'm not criticizing his looks or anything, but like, if you cast him as a sheriff, know that he's dirty. And know that that sheriff is not good.
Yeah, that's why, like, he never once had an ounce of credibility.
Not even close. Not even close. And it's funny because he had a partner the entire time. They were writing it as if the partner kind of knew the shadiness, but then it really turned out that he really didn't know that the sheriff was involved with all this stuff. So they had a lot of issues writing these characters out, and they're not very well developed. They're not very well cast, except for Maya, who, again, rewatching these movies, I have a bigger found respect for her and her talent, because she carries this movie all throughout 1, 2, and 3. And also, just to wrap my idea up about these flashbacks, so I can continue with my day, because these flashbacks are just the bane of my existence here. Like, and it's like I was telling Tex off the air, right, that these flashbacks are pointless, because at the end of chapter 2, after Maya kills off the pinup girl, we see burlap sack guy clearly holding pinup girl in his arms, and there's an obvious connection there, a real human connection that they had. We didn't need a flashback to understand that, hey, obviously they were close. You know what I mean? We didn't need that flashback.
We didn't need to see their lives. Like, honestly, we didn't. Like, we got enough of that with the origin flashback in part 2. You saw the kids killing somebody, and that was kind of it. That was kind of all you needed from them.
And even then, dude, like, I would have been fine with that very last flashback scene where we finally got the Tamara origin, where the pinup girl finally, goes crazy and kills this girl, right? And then this is where origins really start. I'm fine with that one flashback. Cool, because that explains Tamara. and where that whole, saying comes from, which was, it's kind of important in this whole franchise, right? So
Right.
I'm fine with that. But then we just get bombarded again and again with these child actors who, I'm sorry, they're not good.
They're not like they're not
all,
good.
man.
These kids aren't good. And then there's a whole scene where we have to find out where they found the third one. And it's like, did we need it?
Did we really need that?
No. And that's the thing. It's like this is all to say, like, this is all part of the bet that this franchise made, that they were like that we cared, that we were going to care about these characters. And it's a big bet that they took. And like, on the one hand, where it's like, I think the horror fan in me can appreciate that they gambled on this, right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
like I said, once again, on paper, the ideas that this movie has are not bad. Like the burlap sack guy and his whole thing, you're getting into his philosophy and all that. And there are these moments between him and Maya that are like, they've got this weird tension because you don't know what kind of like psycho he's going to ultimately be.
Yes,
and
correct.
because of that, he burlap sack is a very interesting piece in this puzzle. He's intriguing, and the actor himself cuts a very good shape. He looks good as a burlap sack guy.
Yeah.
He has a lot of physicality that's really good. And then there are some shots of the masks themselves that I really like, because it's clear that, they're shot with like to make sure to cover the eyes and stuff like that.
Yes,
so
dude. But like all that said, Tex.
Yes. Yeah. I was like,
I agree with all your points, right? But in the third act, right? Where
as soon as he opens his mouth, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's funny because you get a little bit of that when they're in the hotel and he's making Maya wear the mask and kill somebody. And he's like, kill one of them. And at first, it didn't sound right. I was like, okay, all right. Let's just take a breath out,
I wish like,
but then text, like right in that very last conversation, right in his little hideout, whatever, in his man cave there. Maya tells him to take off his mask, and then like the voice and the mask, they don't really match up, because in the scenes that he's really good, it's usually these very silent, very tense close-up shots of him talking very slowly, very like, he has a drawl to him a little bit. He was drunk in chapter 2 when we first heard him, and this one in the church, he's quiet, he's going through grieving process, so he sounds different. But then like there's some moments where he's talking and you're like, wait a minute. This like he shouldn't talk behind the mask at all.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I wish there were subtitles. This is one of those things where it's like, I feel so old, where I'm like, I didn't understand what he said. Like
at the end too, right? At the end too, right? I was gonna ask you, did you understand what he said before he died?
I don't know. Like, I feel really bad for this guy, because it's like, I don't know if it's his fault, or if it's like an edit, or if it's like a sound mixing issue. Or
I would have told him to retake that, because I would have said, hey, at all what he said.
Yeah, I would have said, hey, enunciate a bit more, right? Because it's like he's clearly saying something.
It's like, I know you have blood coming out of your mouth, but we need you to enunciate.
Yeah, and it's like, like, this is, the idea, right? It's like, conclusion to his character arc, right? And you're like, this is the big moment that we're looking for, and I did not understand him. It's the same thing when they were there's a scene where he's getting Maya to kill someone along with them. Like I said, super cool idea on paper. He's torturing her. This is mental torture, and it's like, okay, he's probably only doing this until he kills her too, right? He's just putting her through all this stuff. Did not understand a word he said. He when he said like, oh, kill her, I only got that when he like made her killer, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I'm like, oh, I guess that's what he said. But this is the thing. It's when you get to that final conversation, and when it's all philosophy and darkness and light and freedom and stuff like that, and you can't understand one of the characters, that's a problem, right? Like that is a huge problem, and that sucks, because this guy, I've seen him, like, I just saw him in like he's in that Netflix movie House Full of Dynamite, which was like a political thriller or whatever, and he plays one of the roles, and you can understand him there. Like, it's like, oh, okay, it's clear that this guy has a talent. He's trying to like he's and I saw him. He's cast in some other things, so he's trying to get out there, right? And it's like this was the big franchise to get him out there. But when it came
was it?
That's
was
the
it
thing,
really the
right?
big
It's like when it
franchise to
came
get somebody out
to those big moments that you needed, right? It's like this is, you know, if you want all that character stuff through the rest of the movie to work, you kind of need to understand him at the end, right? Like you kind of need to understand Burlap Sack Guy to like get a semblance of, you know, if you're gonna try this, you need to do it well. And that's the thing. It's just I guess wrapping my end of this conversation up, like just before, like we can keep complaining all day, Arturo, like because I think
there.
that's the thing. Like it's just there's so much of it that just feels so sloppy, and it sucks because I think what hits harder is that we've watched 3 of these now.
Yeah,
You know,
dude,
and it's
I
like
watched all 3 on the same day, bro.
yeah, and I watched the first 2 the day before I saw this. So that's the other thing. Like
this
we
one
saw,
definitely is the messiest.
yeah, we saw the first 2 twice at this point,
Yes.
right? Like I think as the Morgue, as you know, as speaking as Arturo and Tex, like we've given the strangers a much fairer shot than any other person could have given it, I think, right? Like I think like we saw through like the first 2 movies twice ahead of this third one because you and I were both like, all right, is this going to flow better if we see all 3 as intended, right? Like if we see all 3 back to back to back. No.
No.
I think that is the most disappointing part of it all, right, Arturo? I think I don't want to speak for you, but I think on my end, I'm disappointed that chapter 2 is so much better than chapter 3, I think. And then
because
and then the flow just kind of stops to a halt, bro.
I was interested, to be honest, in what they were trying to do with these flashbacks and developing these killers, because I like that stuff. But
cool.
There's
ideas.
a way to do it. There's a way to do it, and I think it could have been done, like I said earlier, without the flashbacks. If we did have one flashback, I think having the Tamra flashback is crucial because that is a crucial line used in all of their kills. So I'm cool with that. But then you kind of shit on your adult actors and their ability to develop their characters their way with these flashbacks and these kids poorly acting all this dialogue out. It's not good. And it didn't help their futures. You know what I mean? It didn't help their future selves in my eyes, because they could have used those flashbacks to properly develop them using more emotional moments instead of, okay, we get their killers. We get it. They killed a little girl. We get it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, let's see how their emotional connection is. Like the connection between Gregory and his father, the freaking sheriff of the town, you know, who goes to court and does all this stuff. We don't see any of that relationship develop at all.
Spoilers, it doesn't pay off, like Arturo said, and it doesn't pay off in a horror movie way where he kills his father, right? Like that's kind of the thing. You're like waiting for that kind of moment too, where either the father kills him or he kills the father. You're waiting for that kind of confrontation in the finale. That doesn't happen.
No, both of these guys are just awful people.
And how they get rid of the father, like it's good. Like there's a good moment there, a quick 2-piece, and he's out of there, right? No big philosophical conversation with him. And
thank goodness, I was tired of that guy.
It's just like it sucks because, like Arturo said, the idea of this, of him torturing her after losing his girlfriend, right? Like that makes for a good movie. And, because and what we see of that is interesting, right?
Yes, because if you think about it, these two characters, Maya and Gregory, right? They have both lost somebody super close and near and dear to them. Maya lost Brian, I think, Ryan, whatever his name was, in chapter 1, her fiance, and Gregory, the burlap sack guy, lost the pinup girl, who's been his sweetheart since they were little, and they've established their killing since they were freaking tiny. So these two characters lost their significant others, and they had an interesting dynamic in the narrative. And this is why I think them shying away from that and poorly executing that on top of that is a huge detriment to their overall storytelling, because that was the point of having these 3 freaking chapters. The point was to discover this other side of these killers, right? But I think with the flashbacks, it completely killed their execution in that completely.
It
and
kills,
shit on Maya
kills
altogether
momentum
too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it kills momentum. It kills, that's what it does. And ultimately, I think that's what's so disappointing about this. And on top of this, dude, like it's the same problem we've had with the other two chapters. Like it cuts away from so many of like the actual kills, and like, you know, there's so many moments that like they stab someone and it's like, you know, it's away from screen, right? Or like you see him break down
like or it's a low shot of the serial killer with the knife coming down, but you don't see the body like that. You do get a couple of shots of the axe hitting the body a couple times, like in different scenes, which is cool. But
it's weirdly placed, right? It's like, why would you put it in a flashback rather than full spoilers, right? Like I think what you were getting to is that we saw the axe coming down in the flashback, right? And that's towards the beginning. So you're like, oh, okay, maybe we're gonna get more violence this time around. Versus the final shot at the end where, you know, Maya is bringing down the axe, and not only is there this weird like effect, right? Like it's like there's this weird like after image thing they put on it, and then you see her do the hits, but then you don't see the hits coming down.
Yeah, it's they dabbled with CG as well. You see a lot of CG blood on the stab, like on the bloody knives. It's really like CG blood, which is really concerning. But like I understand budget reasons and all that stuff, but it doesn't help its case, you know, like it doesn't add to it, especially since you have the rated R. I literally said this in one of our past episodes in the last week or so, that if you have this rating, man, just go for it, dude. Go for it. Like you're already like literally we see you whacking away at a body. We never see like the actual outcome of the wax and stuff. I'm not asking for, you know, dismemberment or something like that, but like don't shy away as much as you did, you know, and we got a lot of that shy away, as Tex mentioned, throughout the entire chapters.
It doesn't need to be gory, but you need to give us something. Like you need to give us substance, because at the very end of the day, if we, you know, we could have like bashed its story, bashed its execution, but if it would have gave us good kills, we would have been like, well, the kills were good, you know, and usually a lot of the times that's what horror fans are looking for, right? And it's like, you know, and we didn't get that here.
But you see, like, I feel that in this chapter in particular, we just got a lot of fodder because they felt like they needed to put it in there, especially with
body
sister,
count was high.
The sister, her husband, and their bodyguard, which is absolute trash characters. Like, what the hell is that about?
Weirdly characterized there too, where it's like it's never outright stating he's bodyguard. And I know you're supposed to use context clues, and not everything needs to be explained, but like, okay, it just this is small tangent here, but like formatting, right? Formatting, a better formatted version of this movie would have had the bodyguard be the one being like, okay, everyone, we're looking like when the character is introduced, we get the brother-in-law going, all right, we're looking for my sister-in-law.
Not even her sister.
Yes. And that is the thing. That is exactly it. It's not her sister
who the
saying
hell is
it.
This guy, bro.
It's not her sister saying it. It's not the guy they hired to say it, right? It's like, oh, you know, you're not like, oh, is he a bodyguard? Is he private investigator? Is he a cop? That all would have been helped if he was the one going, all right, we're looking for this one, you know, here's a badge or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just functionality. And I know you're supposed to use context clues, and not like I said, not everything needs to be explained, yada, 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 et cetera, but it just needed something, and there's just so much of that, and it's just they were just thrown in there to add more bodies to the pile, and it's not even good kills on top of that. Like one gets shot dead, and
you don't even see the sister properly getting killed. Like she got stabbed by something. I'm like, was that a knife, a shard of glass? Like, what was it? You know?
And it, because there's so much that's unshown. Like there's so much that they cut away from, and Arturo, let's wrap this up, right?
Let's put
an end to the chapter. Let's put an end to the chapter.
It's so annoying because The Maya story was, after all this text, after us bashing this from chapter 1 and everything, funny enough, the Maya story actually turned out to be what kept us going here, man.
I
And
mean,
oh
Madeline Pesh,
boy,
like I'm curious to see what she's going to be in. Like I hope this doesn't like really. I hope this doesn't like cut her off at the knees in terms of what she wants to do in Hollywood. I've never seen her in anything
you know
before
what though? Like,
this, so like
I don't think so, because she wasn't the problem.
yeah,
You know,
she's not the problem here.
she's
Like
not the problem here.
I think
Not
we can
once have
safely
you heard
say
us
that. Yeah.
complain or talk about Madeline Pesh in a negative way on this show today.
Yeah, she's
And
been good.
yeah, she got a producer credit as well, so good for her.
I mean, shout outs
You know?
to Madeline Pesh.
Yeah.
So okay, here we do things of the Morgue. Let's wrap this up, Arturo. Let's put this
do
to
it.
bed. Let's put this trilogy to bed. How we do things here at the Morgue, we have our scale of pay for it, which is go out and see this immediately, or see this at your earliest convenience, paid platform, whatever. There's wait for it, which is, oh, you can wait for it to hit streaming. You can wait for, when you want to watch it, when you're comfortable, when you're feeling it, you'll be fine. Then there's stay away from it, which is self-explanatory. Don't bother seeing it. You'll waste your time. I'll start out first, Arturo. I'm going to say wait for it, because this is chapter 3 of a trilogy. If you've already seen the other two and you're like, you're watching us here at the Morgue, you're listening to us on the podcast feeds, you're watching us on YouTube, and you're like, oh, do I need to see chapter 3? You can wait for it. There's no rush to see this one. Second score, if you haven't seen any of these, don't bother. It's a total stay away from it. If you haven't even seen chapter 1, don't bother at all. How you feeling, Arturo? What about you?
I mean, we can leave the wait for it right on the screen, because that's the way I feel for it. I feel that it is a wait for it solely because of Madeline Pesh and her performance. I think that is what is worth it in these 3 movies. If it weren't for her, man, this would be a stay away from it, like Tex was saying. And if you haven't seen chapter 1 or 2, don't bother watching 3. It's not worth it. If you do want to watch a Strangers movie, go watch Strangers Pray at Night. I think that's still the best out of the 5 that are out there. And it's crazy to say that there's 5 Strangers movies and 3 of them don't really
here we are
for the franchise.
Here we are now.
Oh my goodness. Buddies. So yeah, so if you want to watch a Strangers, I would definitely recommend Pray at Night. Go watch the original with Cliff Tyler. I think it does a very good job of doing the slow burn, heavy tension, and it does wonders with the silence that it uses in the movie. But all that said, folks, this movie was very, very disappointing. And like I said earlier in the show, I actually walked into this with some kind of high hopes. I was like, okay, great. I'm down to finish this trilogy. And I'm glad we're over. I'm glad it is over, because it wasn't going the right way,
Right.
I just really hate the fact that Madeline Pesh's performance in this will kind of be overshadowed.
It's gonna get buried by everything else.
Yes, 1000%. You're absolutely right. It's gonna get buried by the subpar performances of everyone else, of the flashbacks, of the overall story, of the execution. I'm not sure what the studio was trying to accomplish by letting Rennie Harlan do 3 of these things, which I think with one movie condensed, you could have done the exact same thing, honestly.
Honestly,
right?
Like looking back on it all, like if chapter 1 was not a straight remake of that first one, and instead was just all these kind of ideas condensed into one place, probably would have worked better. Like
and then the big gap in between releases of chapter 1 and chapter 2 didn't help its cause. It was like that issue we had with Invincible season 2, where it cut off
it's like,
middle.
if all 3 came out within a few months of each other, maybe we would have been like easier on this, right? But it's like the fact that
we still would have had to pay 3 different movie tickets. To see these movies. It brought up a good point, Tex. If this was like Fear Street, right? If you brought up off the air, I believe that if this was like Fear Street, where Netflix had these 3 really good quality horror movies and they released them a month apart, I think that would have worked 100% better in terms of getting the execution and the themes across better, because like it was, you have a year apart between pretty much all these movies, and it's not good, dude.
Yeah,
it's not really
like
what you want.
if these were streaming and and chapter 3 just wasn't as good as the first two, we'd still be like, well, whatever. Like we would have said it's fine. Like we would have been much easier on it. But the fact that we went to the theater 3 times, we saw the first two twice, and then to get this, I think that's what it is. It's a lot of stinging disappointment, right? Like it really is.
That's exactly what it is, buddies. Unfortunately, it's no good news on our end in this episode. So like we said, if you have not seen any of these, just stay away from it altogether. Save your time for something else. Buddies, thank you so much for listening. This is The Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. I am your host, Arturo Padilla, along and forever with Mr. Nick Valdez. A big shout out goes to you guys out there for listening. We have all these episodes all on YouTube, and we have all the episodes as well anywhere you get your streaming content, your podcast, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. Go like, subscribe, and share. Last but not least, a big shout out goes to Delvirus for all the artwork you've seen in front of you throughout the years. And please, folks, do not forget, it is a scary, scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.